Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Gurudev Srila Gurudev Jaya Gurudev Srila Gurudev Jaya Gurudev Srila Gurudev Jaya Gurudev Srila Gurudev Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhams Parivijayacharya Ashodasar Srimad Srila Abhaya Charnarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anant Koti Vaishnavrind Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Krishna Krishna Itna chalega. Hare Krishna, welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto entitled The Cosmic Manifestation. Chapter 10, Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Today we're going to do text number 5. Yes, text 5. We'll all do Mangal Charan. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vangsha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devem Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayat Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nashtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Text 5. Avataranucharitam Avataranucharitam Hareshchashyanuvartinam Hareshchashyanuvartinam Pumsamisha katha prokta Pumsamisha katha prokta Nanakyanopabrimhita Nanakyanopabrimhita Avataranucharitam Avataranucharitam Hareshchashyanuvartinam Hareshchashyanuvartinam Pumsamisha katha prokta Pumsamisha katha prokta Nanakyanopabrimhita Nanakyanopabrimhita Avataranucharitam Hareshchashyanuvartinam Pumsamisha katha prokta Nanakyanopabrimhita. Word for word. Avatara. Avatara. Incarnations of Godhead. Incarnation of God. Anucharitam. Activities. Hare. Of the personality of Godhead. Cha. Also. Asya. Of his. Anuvartinam. Followers. Pumsam, of the persons, Ishakatha, the science of God, Prokta, is said, Nana, various, Akhyana, narrations, Upabrimhita, described. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, Abhaya Chanarvin, Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The science of God describes the incarnation of the personality of Godhead and His different activities, together with the activities of His great devotees. Purport. During the course of the existence of the cosmic manifestation, the chronology of history is created, recording the activities of the living entities. People in general have a tendency to learn the history and narrations of different men and times. But due to a lack of knowledge in the science of Godhead, they are not apt to study the history of the incarnations of the personality of Godhead. It should always be remembered that the material creation is created for the salvation of the conditioned souls. The merciful Lord, out of His causeless mercy, descends to various planets in the material world and acts for the salvation of the conditioned soul. That makes the history and narration worth reading. Srimad Bhagavatam offers such transcendental topics of the Lord in relation with great devotees. Therefore, the topics of the devotees and the Lord are to be given respectful oral receptions. Jai. So here, this chapter is very aptly named. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So it's interesting when you look at how Bhagavatam is set up. Canto 1 is pretty much describing, Suta Goswami and the rishis and bringing it to the point that Parikshit gets cursed. Canto 2 brings the advent of Sukadev Goswami, and then as he will explain Canto 2, it will end with this point of Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. And then from 3 till 10, you will have a lot of stories and philosophy. And then 11 will again become hardcore philosophy. So just like Canto 2 is hardcore philosophy, Canto 11 becomes hardcore philosophy. And in between we have all these stories. Right? And then 12 is the wind-up. Right? So now we are at this juncture of the end of Canto 12, where this aptly named chapter is Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So the first shloka in this chapter is Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utaya Manavantare Shanu Katha Nirodho Mukta Ashraya. Nirodho Muktir Ashraya. And so the idea here is to say that everything that we are doing in this material manifestation, Bhagavatam is the answer to that. So this purport is very intriguing. When I was reading this purport, I was like, man, this is quite an amazing purport. How Srila Prabhupada is talking about people like to know about history. When we look at Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, we know people like knowledge. So the idea here is people want knowledge. Our potency of spirit soul is chit. We want to be knowledgeable. And so the idea here is that this need to know knowledge or to want to know what's going around, right, is aptly captured in today's modern society. I remember when I was a school kid, right, if somebody was a nerd, it used to be looked down upon. Like, oh, he's a nerd. Oh, he's a nerd. Oh, no. But what I find amazing now when we look at society is everyone's interested in knowledge. Right? The nerds, the non-nerds, everyone is scrolling on their phone. We are interested in knowledge. And the interesting thing is we have this pseudo-realization. It's not we don't practically know it, but pseudo-realization that when I get knowledge, I get satisfied. So, I don't need to know what you're doing. I just need to look at your feed. I'm like, oh, this is what he's doing. Okay. So I'm getting satisfaction by knowing about you without directly engaging in you. And this idea is to be understood as getting, the scientists have figured out that we get endorphins when we are, watching social media. And so this is something intriguing for us to appreciate. That knowledge, just knowledge alone, is giving us satisfaction. It is giving us emotions. And so if you take this concept out of modern society today and peg it back to the Vedic society, rishis, munis, sadhus would simply sit in one place, read books and get great knowledge. And from that knowledge get great satisfaction. And so that satisfaction gave them great joy. And so this appreciation we must have. And so Srila Prabhupada is pointing this out, that people in general have a tendency to learn history. So I found that amazing, a vision of Srila Prabhupada, very intriguing in this shloka. Right? So that is one aspect we can take from this structure. Why is this chapter being said Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions? Because the reason why we are, going through the Facebooks, the Instagram, is because we want to know. We want to know what everyone else is doing. We want to know what these various human beings are doing. And so the idea here is to spiritualize that need to know, right? By channelizing it into the need to know of Krishna. There is so much similarity in our Vedic process to this modern social networking structure. This idea to look at pictures, right? Why is this, having pictures so important? You will see that, previously we used to have, things like Twitter and even WhatsApp. In the beginning phases, they had dedicated themselves to only being a messaging, app. There are no pictures. But soon they realized that if they want to compete, they have to add pictures. So Twitter started adding pictures. WhatsApp started adding pictures. So the messaging platform understood that it's not just about knowledge, it's also about pictures. And so if we now look at Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, and we look at the setup of this temple, like, so one is in your phone, you have your Facebook and Twitters. Now you enter this temple hall, and you can see the physical manifestation of that social network. This is now, in this room, is the physical manifestation. When you go there, you look at Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, you're like, oh wow, nice, beautiful, frame. Then you do a swipe. You look to your right, you see Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. You swipe to your left, you see Gaura Nitai. And like that, you get to see all the pictures. And so the idea here, and then of course you have all these pictures hanging here. We have Srila Prabhupada, we have so many pictures. And so the idea here is that here, the social network that is being set up is spiritual. Right? Within the temple, the physicalization here is of the temple. And then when devotees are speaking, they are discussing knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And so this association, right, it gives us endorphins. It gives us satisfaction spiritually. So once we understand that connection, right, our vision, our thoughts become more sound. They become more precise. And that is why Srila Prabhupada would encourage that, when devotees are coming to the temple, that they should speak more about Krishna. Like avoid unnecessary talks, focus more on Krishna. And so by doing that, we get that social networking experience of the spiritual world. Right? So that is something quite intriguing I found here. Now, how do we channelize our social networking experience? Like everyone, this is everybody. I'm talking about from a 5-year-old kid, my son, he's into already, looking at, this social networking experience. He's a young boy, but already he has that experience. Up to an old man like me, right? We have this experience of social networking. My mom, even she's into, she has Facebook. And she's like 70 years old. My dad has Facebook. He's, 70 years old. So even at that age, so we have this breadth of society that is into social networking. So we can use this opportunity to channelize it to Krishna. Because it is the same thing. It is simply for the vision of, okay, there is this here, there is that there, how we can carry it and bring it into that world. Right? So it is only that. So that's why you'll see, within one's Facebooks and WhatsApps and, whatever platform one has, there is a flood of Krishna conscious things. Now we may think, oh, this is not, this is not real. Right? But it is. You see, I remember sometimes, I'll have my WhatsApp, I'm thinking, why devotees are posting so much? Many times I think like that. But later on I correct myself to say, no, actually this is good. This is good that they're posting. Because by them posting, the recipient is getting a flood of Krishna consciousness. Right? And one may skip one may skip two, but we will look at something we will stare at. And so that gives us that knowledge, and it gives us that spiritual experience, that satisfaction. Yeah? So here in this, we will go into the shloka now. Avataranu charitam. So here we see that in the 10 topics that Sukadev Goswami mentions, there is Ishanu Katha. So Ishanu Katha means the pastimes, rather we'll not use the word stories, but the pastimes of Krishna, but not only Krishna, of his devotees as well. So that expansion of Ishanu Katha is this shloka. Of that one Ishanu Katha, this text 5 expands it. That first we are talking of the avatars and the activities. So the incarnations of Krishna. So what do you mean by incarnations? We think of the incarnation as various pictures. Like in Facebook you have your photos. So there are various photos of Krishna. Here is Krishna as Radha Gopinath, here he is white in color. Then you turn and you see Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, there Krishna is black in color. Then we look at Gaur Nitai, there he is golden in color. So you see, different pictures of Krishna. So that is the avatara. Right? Then there is Anucharitam. Anucharitam means activities. So think of this as, in Facebook, you have, even Facebook, Twitter and all, we have this, feeling good, understanding what someone is doing. So these are the activities, trying to get the mood of Krishna. So why do we listen to the activities of Krishna? We want to understand the mood of Krishna. And so that is why Lord Chaitanya actually descended on the earth. He descended on the earth to give the mood of a devotee that is synced up to the mood of Krishna. If you can understand that. The mood of a devotee that is completely synced with the mood of Krishna. That is why Lord Chaitanya had to come as Radha and Krishna together. Because Krishna being the supreme and Radha being the supreme devotee, so supreme enjoyer and supreme pleasure giver. So when these two come together, we get the perfect mood. And so by understanding the Charitam, we have Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? So by understanding this Charita, these activities, we can start understanding the mood of Krishna. Of course, one cannot fully appreciate the mood of Krishna. That aspect is given because we are dependent and Krishna is independent. However, we can get the general direction of the mood of Krishna. So that is getting the general direction. Then Hare Shashyanu Vartinam. So this here it is being explained that Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Anuvartinam and his followers. So the same Ishanu Katha here is being expanded that it is about the avatars, it is about the activities of Lord Krishna and his followers and his devotees. So the idea being that when we read Srila Prabhupada's Leela Amrita or stories of Srila Prabhupada, and that is Bhagavata. When we are listening to the stories of Srila Prabhupada, sometimes a devotee may say, I heard this story of Srila Prabhupada, or sometimes you yourself may be reading these stories. That study is Bhagavata. Right? So that appreciation we have to have. Then, Pumsami Ishakatha Prokta. So here, Ishakatha, Srila Prabhupada says the science of God. Right? So Isha means controller. The word Isha means controller. And so the reason why Isha Katha is being termed as science of God is because we have to understand how Krishna is controlling. Right? This aspect of control from Krishna has to enter the very fabric of our being. Then we can surrender to Krishna. That Krishna is the controller. Now, of course, one may consider this to be very mechanical. So the idea here is that this is not the ultimate stage of realization. So the initial stage of realization is to see Krishna as the controller in every aspect. Then it is to twist it to say Krishna is actually the enjoyer in every aspect. Right? So, the Karana Sharira. The Karana Sharira means the causal body that we have, which is the most subtle body. Right? That Karana Sharira that we have is Ishvaro Aham Bhogi. That I am the controller. I am the enjoyer. So that mood needs to be changed. We have to break that mood. And that's why it's Ishanu Katha. That first we have to understand, no, Krishna is the controller. Right? And so for mostly as devotees, we come to this realization, Ishanu Katha, that Krishna is the controller. But it is hard for us to give up that Krishna is also the enjoyer. Because even though Krishna is the controller, I want my plate of prasadam. Right? I want my puris and my bhajis. It's because I'm enjoying. But actually, if we are able to shift the second part, the first is Krishna is the controller, but actually now Krishna is the enjoyer. This is the science. Like this is why Lord Chaitanya has come. Is for us to teach us that not only is Krishna the controller, he is also the enjoyer. Because up until this point in Srimad Bhagavatam and in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the aspect of Krishna as the controller is established. He is the controller. But now the aspect of Krishna is the enjoyer that is coming out in Bhagavatam. In Bhagavatam, this aspect of Krishna as the enjoyer is coming out, right? But now there is one more switch. So the first switch is Krishna as the controller. Next, Krishna is the enjoyer. Then there is the third switch, right? Which is why Lord Chaitanya, Charitamrita is there, that when I am watching Krishna enjoy, I am getting enjoyment. So that alignment with Krishna, that polarization, Srila Prabhupada uses the word Krishnaize. So it means when all the poles are on the same direction. So when Krishna is actually enjoying, I am enjoying. That aspect, that switch over, that is pure Krishna consciousness. So that is why the science of God, Srila Prabhupada uses this word, the science of God. Because we have to take these three leaps. Krishna is the controller, Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is the enjoyer, a controller and enjoyer, Bhagavatam, right? We'll come into it. Then Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna is the enjoyer, and we will dramatically enjoy with Krishna when we align with him. Right? So those aspects, each book picks on the other aspects, but focuses on one thing. So Bhagavad Gita does pick on the fact that Krishna is the controller, Krishna is the enjoyer, and when we are with Krishna, Madchitta, Madgata, Prana, so, Manmana, Bhava, Madbhakto. So it does talk about it. It's not like it doesn't. Bhaktivedya Poon Maharaj explains a very nice point, that actually those who are into, Prema Bhakti, when they read Bhagavad Gita, they see Prema in everything, in all the shlokas. So, it's very interesting that, when we look at these shlokas, Bhagavad Gita, we look at it very tactically. Like, oh, this is, these are the tactics. Right? What do you call, Sarva Dharman Paritajya Mam Ekam. But when someone who's in a Prema Bhakti or Uttama Adhikari, when they're reading these shlokas, they're actually seeing Prema, Bhava, they're seeing all of these aspects in these shlokas. So that's interesting. However, when you do a quick read of Bhagavad Gita, we get the aspect that Krishna is the controller. Right? Yatra Yoga, Ishvara, Krishna. That becomes the final conclusion, right? That the Ishvara is Krishna. That's the final shloka of Bhagavad Gita, right? So then we slowly enter into Bhagavatam, and in Bhagavatam the aspect of controlling is there, but the enjoyment is described. That's Canto 10. Canto 10 is completely about the enjoyment of Krishna. The summum bonum focus of Canto 10 is about the enjoyment of Krishna. And these shlokas of Krishna take up to 35% to 40% of Bhagavatam. Majority of the shlokas are there, right? And of course, there also the aspect of a devotee, when a devotee aligns himself, so we'll see a lot of focus there. But then Chaitanya Charitamrita, then that aspect is brought out dramatically. So so that is there. So then, Nana Khyano So Nana means various, Akhyana is narration, and Upabhramita is described. And if you actually look at this last line, this is the functional. This is the functional. This is the functioning of social media. The Nana Akhyana Upabhramita, the various narrations and descriptions. And so the idea is that we can take this narration, we can spiritualize it, and we can see that whole thing in front of us. So a simple shloka, but a very beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada, because he brings out this aspect of how in modern society we are so interested in all this stuff. We simply have to channelize it and make it Krishna conscious. So we will read this last two lines because they are very nicely done. That makes the history and narrations worth reading. What about Krishna? Srimad Bhagavatam offers such transcendental topics of the Lord in relationship with great devotees. Therefore, the topics of the devotees and the Lord are to be given respectful oral reception. Jai. So ended a bit early, but very small purport and small shloka. But Prabhu, you want to add something? I know you are away, so that's okay. But that's it. Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hey Gopin.